I believe that the MMA gods were smiling down on Las Vegas. And I believe that the MMA gods wouldn't allow what some powers were trying to make happen, were trying to force into reality. I believe that the MMA gods wouldn't allow that to happen. Not this weekend, not to Nathan Diaz, not to a guy who has done things the right way throughout his entire career. Not this weekend. And so what do I mean by that? Before I continue, as always, we are presented by our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. I was going to go on a long diatribe here, and I was going to forget, and everyone's going to get mad. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code MMA Hour, the MMA Hour. Please use that code. Let them know that we sent you. Again, that's code the MMA Hour, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Support them because they support us.
Well said.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Frank. Why would the MMA gods have to step in? Because what was supposed to happen this weekend was not right, was not fair, was not done in good faith, was not done the right way, was not how a legend, a guy who has done things the right way, represented the sport in a unique, honest, authentic way, was not how his chapter, his journey, his career potentially in the UFC was supposed to end. And so, I was actually trying to, I was working with some people over the weekend. I was in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you about that another time. And I was trying to explain to people that I was working with who know nothing about mixed martial arts. I was trying to explain to them why this weekend was so unique and why it was so unbelievable. As much as I believe in the MMA gods, unbelievable that it actually broke this way, that it actually played out this way because, by Thursday, it's like, all right, this is here, this is happening, buckle up. It might be uncomfortable, but we all have to eat it at this point. We all have to watch it, even though no one watched it. And even though no one wanted to watch it, wanted to support it, just look at the ticket sales. Just look at the ticket sales. Look at how people rejected this, right? And so I was trying to explain to them, but much like when I was trying to explain to people why the Leon win meant so much to so many people and to this sport, it occurred to me that unless you knew about the whole journey, the whole struggle, you can't quite appreciate this. Because if you just look at this in a silo, like the Leon moment, it's like, all right, that was a win. All right, crazy shit happens in this sport. Big freaking deal. No, it is a big freaking deal. And it's really, at this point, sitting here, I still can't believe it happened. Like, was that some kind of fever dream? Did Nathan Diaz really fight Tony Ferguson on a fight that was put together on 24 hours notice after Khamzat Chimaev showed up 7.5 pounds overweight, and then the top 3 fights got reshuffled as a result of that? Did that really happen? Did he really go out with a W? It really happened. And to appreciate it, you really have to go back to like 2015. 2015, when Nathan fought Michael Johnson, and everyone remembers that moment when he's getting on the microphone, he's talking about Conor McGregor, you took everything I worked for, blah, 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 blah. That's when he started to really gain his voice, puff his chest out, feel confident about his place in the sport. Remember, a year prior, he fought RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, and it was very one-sided. And it never really felt like he was there. He didn't feel motivated. He didn't feel like a guy who showed up on a mission to get a win. There was something off. Go back to the pre-fight, like something off about it, and the performance was off as well. Stays out for a year, comes back 2015, and that's when I would start to hear from people working with him, like, this guy wants out. This guy wants out. Now, the best thing to ever happen to him, of course, was he beats Michael Johnson. He gets on the microphone. He cuts the promo to end all promos. But remember, Conor McGregor was scheduled to fight RDA in 3 months. What happens? Things break. Crazy. RDA gets hurt. Has to pull out. 11 days notice. They say, man, he cut that promo. That's a big fight. They don't really have a history. They're not even in the same weight class. Let's go to Nate. What happens? UFC 196, March of 2016. Massive win. Life-changing win. Career-altering win. Everything changes for him. They try to do the fight at UFC 200. Conor isn't down. Doesn't want to get involved in the promotion. Diaz sticks up for him. Shows up to the press conference and says, hey, I'm here. He ain't. They're trying to get me to fight someone else. I'm waiting for him. They try to get them to fight at 202. He says, hey, the numbers you're offering me are 200 numbers. It's now 202, UFC 202. I want more money. Starting to gain his voice. But all this is like, this guy is starting to realize his worth. Now in life, a lot of us think we are worth something Not all of us have the courage to say, no, I'm going to fight for what I'm worth. And I've said this about Nate in the past. What makes him so dangerous when it comes to these moments, these negotiations, is that he's always willing to walk away. Some people say they're willing to, they're not really willing to. He has always been willing to walk away from the table. He was willing to walk away from the Conor sequel, the rematch. They flew to Stockton. They did that whole thing. They got him to agree at 2-2. But in the back of his mind, he was always ready and, to be honest, wanting to walk away. But you get this big fight, this big contract, they add to it. They add to it. They add, they give you another fight, a new deal, a new deal. That's how they operate. For someone like Nathan Diaz, his popularity, his star power to get that free pass, it's almost impossible. How many people at his level have gotten their walk out of jail free card? Throughout the history of the UFC, it doesn't happen. You got to scratch, you got to claw, because they keep adding. And so, once the Conor fights happen, and then he takes some time off, and then all of a sudden, we're like, okay, what's going on with Nate? And he has the fights up at that, he comes back and he fights Anthony Pettis, and he beats Anthony Pettis. Great. He fights Jorge Masvidal. He creates a belt for them, loses that fight. But it kept feeling like, even in defeat, even the Conor loss, so close, controversial, he doesn't see his stock drop, right? Even against Masvidal, the cut, this and that, didn't get horribly, doesn't really drop. It was a moment. The Rock is there. The president's there. Doesn't really drop. But at this point, he wants to leave. He wants to be free. He wants to be independent Nathan. He wants to know what's out there, because you're starting to see numbers rise and people get big deals and things of that nature. During the pandemic, the early days, they wouldn't give him a fight. Same reason they wouldn't give Conor a fight. Same reason they didn't want John Jones to fight, because they would lose money having these big name guys fight in front of no one. It was only once the arena started opening up and he was loud enough about fighting Leon, and they really didn't have anything for Leon to do, they make this fight against Leon. And what happens in that fight? Even in that fight, he gets beat for 24 minutes, but he comes out, weirdly enough, on top at the end, because what happened in the last minute. Some way, somehow, MMA gods keep smiling down upon this kid from the streets of Stockton who grew up with nothing, whose brother kind of unwillingly dragged him into the sport. He followed his brother. He wanted to be as popular and good as his brother. His brother had this massive shadow, and then all of a sudden, and I think about this all the time, he becomes bigger than his brother, and his brother can finally at least sit back and be like, all right, he's taken care of. Because that's what he worried about when he got suspended for 5 years, that he couldn't take care of his brother. Well, he's taken care of now. So he wants to fight Leon. They give him the Leon fight. He loses that fight, but he still sort of comes out on top, right? He still kind of looks good. And then the amazing thing is, he makes it to the Leon fight, which is half the battle, because now he only has one fight left, which is almost an impossibility in its own right. One fight left. Oh my God, he is so close to finally being free. I was talking to someone who used to work for him several years ago and told me, dating back to 2015, he had this pipe dream of being free. I want to be free. I don't want to be shackled. I don't want to be told what to wear, what to do, when to wake up, when to drug test. So now he's one fight away. All right, we're there. We're almost there. Right? And what does he do? He starts asking for fights. But you have to understand the business of the UFC. The business of the UFC is not to let a guy like Nathan Diaz get to that final fight. We built you. We invested in you. You ain't going to go out there and make money with someone else. That's not how this works. That's not how this game works. A month after the Leon fight, he starts asking for that last fight. How do I know this? We have the receipts. Let's go to the tweets, shall we? This is a month after the Leon fight, July 15th. Dustin Poirier, 185, pull up, the fight that never happened. July 15th. That fight doesn't happen. October, I ain't got a contract. It must be something wrong with Luque. Ask for Vicente Luque. Now it's October. That doesn't happen. And guess what? Shortly after this tweet, Khamzat Chimaev fights. He beats Li Jingliang. If Nathan Diaz was a guy with 5 fights left on his deal saying he wanted to fight Khamzat Chimaev, they would laugh in his face at this point. But the second Khamzat beat Lee, they offered him Khamzat Chimaev. Why? Because they knew he would turn it down, and they knew that his contract would be extended. And so eventually he did turn it down, but he keeps on tweeting. What else we got? December, I'll fight DP in January. Don't be a scared little bitch this time, now or never. This is December. Now they're trying to sign him. They're trying to lock him in. They're trying to say, hey, we'll give you Conor. Conor's nowhere ready to come back. They're trying to say, hey, we'll give you DP if you re-sign. Again, we're not going to let a guy like Nate leave, right? We're not going to let that happen. Fight doesn't happen. We continue. January. UFC, stop playing with me. Consider this my signature to fight this fucker. I've been trying to fight for a minute. Quit slowing down the real fight game. It's time. This is January. He now last fought in June. Now we're to January of 2021. Fight doesn't happen. We move on. Ready to fight UFC is slow rolling me. What the fuck? This is March. Same picture. Fight doesn't happen. There's no reason. There's no reason other than they don't want him to leave. They don't want him to walk away. So they are extending this and dragging their feet as long as possible. Later in March, I'll fight Conor's dumbass right now. Fight doesn't happen. We move on. Later, been trying to fight for 7 months at UFC LFG. Nothing happens. No offers come in. We continue to wait. We move on. Later in March, I would like to request to be released from the UFC at Dana White at Hunter. I apologize for asking on long, but you don't give me online, but you don't give me a fight ASAP. I got shit to do. Message not received. Request denied. No fights. We move on. This is a guy like openly asking for fights, wanting to fight, not wanting to be, a nuisance, just wants to fight at this point. Just wants to be free. I've been trying to fight everyone. This is in April. And no go. What's the holdup, UFC? I'm not fighting Conor. He sucks. I'll fight someone. Quit slow rolling me, please. Thanks. Reason he talked about the Conor. Conor wasn't coming back. We see this. It's September. He's not coming back anytime soon. Maybe first quarter 2023. Fight doesn't happen. We move on. July 30th, 170. This is May 8th. Nothing happens. He doesn't fight July 30th. We know this. We move on. No offers coming in. I know this. How? Because I do. It's a fact. Now we're talking May 10th. UFC got me on ice. How about Chandler? Send the contract. It's time. Nothing. We move on. So we're sitting here and we're talking, oh my gosh, I want to show these tweets because I want you to understand how hard this guy was trying to get to that last fight. What's good, UFC in July? This is later in May. Whole roster scared? Nothing. Hey, there's Tony Ferguson chiming in. More on him in a second. Nothing. We move on. All right, here's later in May. I've been trying to fight for a year. Also tried to fight Khamzat for the last month and a half, but he was hurt, had visa issues, overweight. Now his bitch ass is getting married instead of fighting. WTF, I want to fight in July. Nothing. We move on. Oh, here's a tweet in June about fighting Jake Paul. UFC, release me now or give me a fight with anyone in July or August. I got bigger shit to do. Nothing. We move on. Isn't this amazing when you actually digest it this way? July 30th, he asked. On July 8th, 22 days later, would be nice. Nothing. We move on. Now he talked to us, right? Now things are starting to roll. This was right before he officially gets offered the fight. Oh, last 9 months, I've been offered 0 fights. I asked for 5 legitimate opponents. We showed you some of them. Thanks for the kind words. Can I go now? This is when, Dana said a fight with Khamzat. Yeah, the guy's lost 4 of 5. He should probably go fight Jake Paul. Remember all that? Nothing. And then finally, what happens? Because there's a sunset clause, what happens? They offer him the Khamzat Chimaev fight. They offer him the Khamzat Chimaev fight on the last possible pay-per-view. Can't fight in Abu Dhabi because the deal's up by then. So they offer him Khamzat Chimaev in a fight that makes no sense rankings-wise, makes no sense resume-wise. He was a massive underdog. I think it was plus 1,800 by the time fight week started. We all felt weird about it. That's not the way you treat a legend. That's not the way this works. But he said, yeah, sure, I'll take the fight. In many respects, when he took the fight, he called their bluff. Because I don't know if deep down inside, they believed that he would ultimately accept it. Because if he turned it down, maybe they extend him again. But he said yes. Even though everyone was probably being like, yo, man, like this ain't the best idea for you. Younger guy, wrestler, it's not going to go well. Just look what he did to Kevin Holland this weekend. More on that in a moment. But he says yes. And he just does his thing, prepares for the fight, gets to fight week. And now we're here and it's just like, can we, get on with this thing? Because the guy just wants to be free. Let him go in there, see how it goes. and then we'll figure it out. I remember texting a guy on his team early in the week, and I said, I swear on my life, I got a weird feeling about all of this. And I've said it on this show, and I believe on other shows as well. I know for a fact on other shows, there was something about that matchup that just did not feel right. Didn't sit well. So fight week starts, media day, Wednesday, interviews Tuesday. Thursday, we get to the press conference. And by now, you know what happened. Backstage, Khamzat, Kevin Holland. Oh, by the way, earlier in the week, Khamzat and Paulo Costa get into a little thing, but then Khamzat and Kevin Holland get into a thing. There's a push kick. There's a fracas. There's bottles being thrown. We don't need to go over it because it feels like old news at this point. And they canceled the press conference. All right. Weird. But the thing exploded, so maybe a good piece of promotion. By Friday morning and really starting to trickle in Thursday, word starts to come out that Khamzat's going to have trouble making weight. And so Diaz's team gets called Friday morning, and they're told he ain't making weight, and he's going to be off by 8 or so pounds. How about a catch weight? How about a catch weight? Could you believe that they had the balls to even ask that? Offer that? Already the fight didn't make sense. Now he's going to help the dude out and fight him 10 pounds higher as he's like half a pound away from making the weight. Now, they said that it was a medical issue, and you respect that, and you believe that. But if it was truly a medical issue, why did he end up fighting on Saturday? Fine. Why should he take a catchweight fight? And again, holds his ground, knows his worth, says, no, I ain't taking a catchweight fight. Are you crazy? Are you absolutely nuts? So now, in a crazy day, historic day, unprecedented day, they reshuffle the top 3 fights really to cater to Khamzat. I can assure you, if it was Daniel Rodriguez who came in 8 pounds over, they're telling him, peace out. He's going to get reamed at the post-fight, unprofessional. He's got to move up. If Kevin Holland this way, and I've heard nothing negative about Khamzat at this point. In fact, Dana went up at the press conference and was praising him. In fact, he wasn't even fined for missing weight because they said, oh, now it's a catch weight. He was even eligible to win a performance bonus when historically, when you miss weight, you don't win. You're disqualified. Ultimately, after hours of negotiations, after hours of shuffling and all this stuff, Diaz gets Tony Ferguson, which is the type of matchup that he deserved in his final UFC fight from the beginning. That's how you treat a legend. That's how you treat not only Diaz, but you treat Tony Ferguson that way. Guys who were supposed to fight 5 years ago. And imagine this. Imagine if this fight wasn't rejected, Khamzat versus Diaz, wasn't rejected by the public when tickets went on sale. If this fight was accepted by the public and it sold out, they would have never added Kevin Holland. They would have never added Tony Ferguson. The only reason why they added those guys was because they needed to boost the ticket sales, because they've got this precious sellout streak that they needed to boost. Imagine if they didn't add those guys. Who the hell would Diaz have fought? None of those guys would have been available. And so again, this fight wasn't done in good faith. I don't care what anyone says after the fact. I don't care what Dana says at the press conference, what anyone from the UFC says. It was not done in good faith. They wanted him to lose, and they wanted him to lose badly on the way out. They wanted to hurt his stock on the way out. They wanted him to get mauled on the way out. They found the worst possible opponent for him on the way out. And what happened? The MMA gods said, no, not this weekend. You ain't doing that to an OG. You ain't doing that to a guy who helped build this company and this sport. Everything Dana White said at the press conference after on Saturday was true. And it's the stuff he should have said before Saturday. This is his house. It was a pleasure. He'll always have a home here. That should have been the case in the making of his last fight. And it should have been the case as they went into Saturday with him fighting someone like Tony or even someone like Dustin, a fight that made sense at this juncture in his career. MMA gods said, no, you're fighting Tony Ferguson. And once they made the Ferguson fight, the MMA gods, I don't care what any of you say, you could call me kooky all day long, they weren't going to let that man lose on the way out. And you feel for Tony. Hey, if there was a guy who, needed some good news at some point in his career on a 4-fight losing streak going into Saturday, it's Tony Ferguson. He's been screwed too. But you know what? Tony Ferguson got paid. Don't believe for a second what was said on Saturday about no one getting paid. Of course they got paid. Every single one of those guys, all 5 of them got paid. except for Khamzat, which makes sense. Let's not get crazy here. Now, I can understand why you don't want, I don't understand. I don't like it. It makes you come across like an asshole if you sit there and be like, no, they got contracts. They got contracts and we didn't pay anyone an extra dime. What? You didn't pay pro fighters an extra dime? You didn't pay them an extra dime for changing opponents on 24 hours notice? This isn't Rock'em Sock'em Robots. This isn't toys that you play, in your living room or in your basement as an 8-year-old kid in your little ring. These are pro fighters who prepared for different opponents, southpaws, orthodox, wrestlers, strikers, and you want to sit because you don't want to put out the precedent to other fighters to ask for more money and say, no one got, that just makes you look bad. At what cost? So that no one calls you up the next time this happens and says, hey, you gave Tony Ferguson more money, you need to give me more money. I would be celebrating that. I would be saying, yeah, of course we took care of these guys. Of course we helped them out. Of course we looked out for them. They all got paid. Good for them. Good for Kevin Holland. Good for every single one of them. But let's be honest, some of them got screwed as well. Holland got screwed. He got a way tougher matchup. Li Jingliang, no one got screwed more than that guy. From showing up with the suit on Thursday, not getting to wear it, from getting an opponent who was tougher than his original, bigger by 10 pounds than his original, and a lesser name, and gets screwed out of the decision as well. No one got screwed more than that guy. Luckily for him, he's likable, he's charming, he's a bigger babyface now, but people got screwed along the way. There's no doubt about it. Ferguson ends up losing in the main event. But the guy who this was all centered around, the guy who this was all built upon was Nathan Diaz. And on Saturday, it's almost unbelievable to think, with the MMA gods smiling down on him, he ends up getting a win in dramatic fashion. His leg is getting beat up. Third round not looking good. It's either 29-28 either way. And then Tony finally shoots and he gets him in the guillotine. And much like he did back in the day with Kurt Pellegrino, except this time he had the double birds, he flexes at around 209. And I know it says 208 and I know all that, but he flexes at 209. The area code that has been so synonymous with him and his brother. There'll never be another Nathan Diaz. There'll never be another Nick Diaz, and it was beautiful to see Nick there with him. And he always gives him love, always gives him a shout out. And there he was in the winner's freaking circle. He wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to win. What happened to Kevin Holland was supposed to happen to him. He won not once, not twice, 3 times this weekend. Old school UFC style. He beat the UFC, he beat Khamzat Chimaev, and he beat Tony Ferguson. I mean, that is just, you can't script something like that. You cannot script how this played out. And it plays out this way as he walks out of the UFC a free man. A free man. Shows up to the fight wearing his Represent gear when you're supposed to be wearing other stuff. Shows up to the press conference with his new promotion, Real Fight Inc. Puts his Nike shoes on the table. That post-fight press conference was a masterclass. That was a free man, smiling, joking, having a good time, about to walk off potentially to another sport and make 3, 4, 5 times what he made in this fight. And he made a lot for this fight, and he got paid more to take this fight. A free man who's about to cash in for the 15 years of service and be treated the right way and control his own destiny and get to pick his opponents and put himself in the best possible situations and scenarios. Incredible. All my years of covering this, I don't remember a situation where we went from depressing, unfair, not right, gross, shitty situation to holy crap. For once, the house didn't win. For once, the boys in the back got paid and the boys in the back had things break their way. And no one deserved it more than Nathan Diaz on this night. No one deserved it more. No one has put in more sweat equity than that guy and had been screwed so many times, put on ice, sideline, all this stuff, and said, all right, I'll fight your boy. No one other than Neil Magny really wanted to fight that guy. He said, all right, fine, I'll fight your boy. I'll fight him. That's what you want? I'll fight him. Now let me be free. Can you let me be free? Look at all the tweets. And what happens? He doesn't even have to fight him. He calls their bluff. He gets the favorable matchup. He wins. And now he's about to get paid. I mean, if you don't see the poetry in that, if you don't see the karma in that, if you don't see the poetic justice in that, I don't know what to tell you. if you don't see the beauty in all of that. For everyone who, again, much like Leon, anyone who's been kicked, anyone who's been told no, anyone who's been denied, you don't see the beauty in that? Poetic justice at its finest. The making of the fight was poetic justice. For him to win the way he did was even greater poetic justice. Long live Nathan Diaz, and long live what he represents to this sport, and him doing things his own way and the right way and standing up for what's right, because hopefully he now gives other people the courage to stand up for themselves and give themselves a voice and empower them. I remember doing a segment with Chael back in the Ariel and the Bad Guy days, and I said, it has not been talked about enough. What this guy has done for fighter rights, you can make the case that no one, intentionally, unintentionally, has done more to empower fighters just by his actions, not so much by his words, but by his actions. No one has done more, right? The press conference, showing up, fighting for what's right, smoking the weed, doing all that stuff, being an advocate without his words, but with his actions, fighting out the deal, taking the fights that they want him to fight, even though he doesn't want to fight those fights, just so he can have his freedom. And then what happens? It works out like this. If you don't believe in the MMA gods, if you don't believe in a higher power, I don't know how you explain this. I really don't. Inspiring stuff, and now I can't wait to see how this story unfolds. Now you've got a free man with all the leverage, coming off a big win like this, maybe more popular than he's been since the first Conor fight. And now what's going to happen? Is he going to fight Jake Paul? Is he going to go box? Is he just going to? Well, he could go on the Floyd Mayweather circuit and fight a bunch of nobodies for a couple million here and a couple million there. You're not watching that? You're not buying that? Of course you are, because everyone loves this guy. Because everyone wants to be this guy. Everyone wants to have that sort of, I don't give a fuck attitude and a je ne sais quoi. He would never use that term, but you get what I'm saying. You see him at the press conference smiling, cracking jokes. He and his brother have been misunderstood for so long. And, you can understand why. They didn't let us come in. But listen, his manager is going to hate me for mentioning him. I asked him to come on the show today because I think he's the unsung hero to this story. He's going to hate that I mentioned him here, but he deserves to be mentioned. Zach Rosenfield, since he's been working with Nate, all these things have been falling his way. This guy's not a traditional manager. He's a publicist. And he was hired to work on Nate after the first Conor fight. Very untraditional. But Nate took a liking to him and listened to him and trusted him. And he kept putting him in the right spots. He kept putting him in the right positions. He kept guiding him the right way. He had someone who was telling him what to do, and he believed in what he was saying. Not someone else who was trying to take money off, his back and out of his pocket. Truly was invested in making this guy's life better and putting him in the right spots. And look what's happened since. Another lesson for us all. You get the right people around you who are trustworthy, who are kind-hearted, who are good souls, and look how things break your way. And yeah, there's going to be setbacks here and there. But if you make the right decisions and you put yourself around the right kind of people, look how things turn out. And now look at them. Smiling, leaving T-Mobile Arena, victors, 40, 50 deep. It's one of the best stories that I've ever seen. And you hate that it comes at the expense of someone like Tony, because Lord knows he needs, a good break here or there. But on this night, it was about Nathan Diaz on his last fight and everything that he had been battling over the past year. Getting it done like this, crazy. Crazy. They had to reshuffle the whole card just to salvage the guy that they were trying to put in there, the boogeyman, to beat Nate. And it works out, right? Everyone's like, they open the broadcast. Oh, isn't this great? They remixed it. It's so great. It's so amazing. I love you, DC, but come on. I wish I could talk to you right now. Oh, they remixed it. Don't pretend for a second like this is what they wanted. I had people hitting me up being like, this was WWE, this was a work. Do you not understand what was going on here? Were you not paying attention for the past year? How could it be a work? They wanted him to get beat. He ended up fighting the lesser opponent. Why would they work that? Why would they script that? This blew up in their face. Yeah, fine. The pay-per-view was salvaged. They get paid the same from ESPN. And ESPN's maybe happier with this because more people, and maybe the ticket sales were great. They did not want this for a second. They were willing to just have a card with Nate Hamza at the top and no one else on the bottom. They were willing to do that at the expense of this guy not getting good pay-per-view numbers and just getting beat on his way out. You think this was a work? You're not paying attention to any of this. You have not been paying attention for a second if you think this was a work. This was not a work. This was not scripted. Luckily, at the end, it ends on good terms. Everyone says the right things in the cage. Dana says the right things. Nate handled it like a pro in the cage as well. There's no awkwardness. There's no bad feelings. And the door is open. And by the way, I actually believe that he might come back, win a couple fights. Maybe he, here's what I'll say. The door is open. And I think they would be open to having him come back. Maybe he feels the freedom is too great, the money is too great, he never comes back. He is getting up there in age. But I really do believe that he just wants to feel what it feels like to be independent. And now he's about to feel it. And it's crazy that today we're getting a press conference with Jake Paul and Anderson Silva, and it feels like he's going to be the cloud hanging over that event come October 29th. And if Jake Paul wins, he'll fight Jake Paul later next year and make a boatload of money. It's crazy how this all